country's kind of low with, the economy and the way gas prices are going, and I think that it would just be good for our country to have a change of leadership, and it's just something I think we need right now.
Yeah, I do believe that we need a change. With the economy, the way that Bush has been cutting taxes for big corporations.
I really disagree with the idea that drilling is important right now, because I think if we drill now, it just delays the process of finding different sources of energy and things like that.
This whole country's been duped. The actual, a war was perpetrated in the name of 9/11, and the recipient of our aggression had nothing to do with 9/11.
I totally support people doing whatever they want to do. I have no problem whatsoever with gay marriage and women's rights, obviously, in the war.
My biggest issue is universal health care.
Oh, it's definitely important to vote. I mean, if you don't vote, then you have no right to complain about what's happening.
Get out and vote. Get out and vote, people.
Get out and vote. It's important to get out and vote.
I'm Claire. I'm with Justice Through Music, and I'm asking you all to get out and vote.
Get out and vote.
Jerry, and this is Chris from OER, and we're hanging out with Justice Through Music.
Don't criticize what you can't understand. Your sons and your daughters are beyond your command. Your old road is rapidly aging. Please get out the new one if you can lend a hand. For the times they are changing.
Well, I think we've all seen that your voice really can count when you go out. It can make a difference, and we just want to do our part to really get out there and let people know that first of all, they need to register to vote, and that's the first part. The awareness, I think, is getting people to be able to register to vote and get you in there and show you how much a difference you can make. I mean, we feel like our generation, our voice hasn't really been heard, and we really want to go and get people to stand up and fight for what they believe. I mean, that's kind of what our country is all about.
I think it's your one opportunity to really make a difference. It's your one opportunity where your voice is truly heard and your vote truly counts. For someone to say that they're not going to vote, I just think is just kind of ridiculous to me, to be honest with you. I think it's your right, it's a privilege, but I think it's your duty as well.
Hi, we're hanging out with Justice Through Music.
We got an election coming up about getting young people out to vote. I think it's important.
I think it's very important.
Yeah. We're all going to vote.
I think it's important for people to stand up for something they believe in, and not just kind of like, oh, it'll happen, it'll work out, people will vote and it'll be fine. You gotta stand up for your country and vote for your leaders.
You would tell young people to get out and vote. It's important.
Yes, very important.
Hi, we're Stars of Track and Field, and we're hanging out with Justice. I would say look at the numbers when Al Gore lost. That's what I would say.
We're Humphreys McGee, and we're hanging out with Justice Through Music.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who kind of don't care about politics. I think it's because it goes over a lot of people's heads. Like a lot of the people that might work too much, you know, like a lot of the blue collar community, like might not care as much. You know, I think that's where I come from. So a lot of people around there just feel that, well, I don't know, so I won't vote.
Yeah, but you know, just stressing that every vote counts, you know, and it's a privilege.
Hi, I'm Luke Van Anker from Revolting Cox, and I hope you get off your big fat ass and kick some ass.
I'm Phildo for the Revolting Cox. Get out there and do something about it.
Sin from Revolting Cox, and make your presence known. Get out there and stand up for what you believe in.
You go out and do your part, but you know, learn a few facts and make it, you know, cast your vote and you know, do it for yourself. It should be a duty of everyone. I think our voting turnout's pathetic.
Hi, we're the Myriad.
So we're hanging out with Justice Through Music. What do you guys think about the importance of getting young people out to vote?
I can be there whenever. I'm going to stay in New Jersey.
I remember the first time I voted, it felt really empowering, and that over the next few years when I would hear people have issue with what was going on with the government at the time, that was sort of the first question I had, was like, well, did you vote? And if they didn't, I had this sort of instinctive response to sort of write it off, like, how do you have the right to complain if you don't have any intention of doing anything about it? And it feels like this sort of rite of passage, this opportunity to actually like have a say in what's going on. And it feels really important as you're sort of coming into adulthood when you turn 18 years old and you have that opportunity. You know, it feels like such an important step to take to be involved with the direction that, you know, our country's headed and the world's headed.
And I think, you know, a lot of people think that sometimes they're voting, you know, just one person drop in a bucket. But, you know, we've seen with the last few elections, you know, how important that one person is as well. So, and not only that, I think it's just very important for you to be involved, you know, for a young adult. When you turn 18, go register, you know, and it's just, I think it's just really important to be involved in a country that you
I'm Steven.
And I'm John Roger. I'm Jeremy Edwardson.
Randy Miller.
And I'm Jonathan Young, and we are the Myriad. We just want to encourage you to get registered and vote.
Vote.
Yeah, you gotta vote, you gotta speak your faith.
I'm Matt, I play bass.
I'm Dave, I play the drums.
I'm Julian, I play guitar. I'm Rich and I sing, and we are Revelation Theory, and we're hanging out with Justice Through Music.
Would you urge young people to go out and vote?
Totally.
100%. Yeah, 100%.
I vote. People always say it's not, you know, they can't make a difference, but what they don't realize, if it's one person, it could be another person, it could be another person, and then a mass, you know, makes the difference. But if you sit at home and you say, it has nothing to do with me, you know, you're absolutely right, it has nothing to do with you because you're not even putting in your input. So I think everybody should vote. Go vote. Go vote. Go vote.
Hi, I'm Eric, and this is Harag, and we're from Strata, and you're hanging out with Justice Through Music.
So what do you have to say to young people about participating, protesting, getting out to vote, stuff like that?
Well, I'd just say that just knowledge is key. As long as if everyone is just aware of what's going on, and if everybody actually listens to what other people have to say.
What would you tell a young person that...
Think about all the great movies that they made about the 60s. All the sex and the drugs and like happy people dancing around. Like, let's do that again. You know? Fuck it. It seemed like it worked for like 30 years, right?
What would you tell young people about getting out to vote? Should they register? Should they vote? Should they participate?
Well, it's only like, it seems really hopeless, but it's only hopeless because they don't have hope. Like if they decide to
try to make a difference. I mean, it's always gonna be shitty if you decide you're gonna let it be shitty, you know. But we have like an unprecedented opportunity with the internet to just mobilize kids and get everybody to pay attention to something. And
what about protesting?
Hey, this is Jerry and this is Chris from OER, and we're hanging out with Justice through music. Well, I think just showing a presence here helps align ourselves with the proper school of thought, and that's that, you know, regardless of whether you believe that global warming exists or not, I think it's a good idea that we should all do our part to get ourselves off of depending on oil, foreign oil, or resources here, stateside, living more green, providing a better way of life, a cleaner way of life, not only for our generation but for our children's generations and their children's generations as well.
Yeah, I think we need to make it clear to the powers that be that for everybody, not just our generation and stuff like that, but we need to make a significant change, or else, you know, for our children, our grandchildren, and stuff like that, it's going to be very messed up.
This summer there'll be recycling elements for the shows, not only for the fans to provide bins and resources to recycle refuse that they accumulate on site at the concerts, but also for ourselves as well. You know, it's amazing how much waste that you go through on a day-to-day basis. That just throwing in a recycling bin, it's a very small menial task that can really make a large I think imprint. We also try our best to use biodiesels fuel in the buses and trucks. As they become more readily available, we're certainly going to use more and more of that. And we also raise awareness. There'll be different organizations that'll be out throughout the tour that'll have campaigns going at the concerts and at the venues.
Hey, I'm Jason from Neurosonic. I'm Jacob from Neurosonic, I play bass.
Troy, Neurosonic guitar.
I'm Shane, I play drums from Neurosonic. Canada recycles anything and almost everything, like all our bottles and stuff, and you really don't see very many recycling programs in effect down here. You see stuff that should be recycled going into garbages every day.
Yeah, we don't know what to do with our plastic containers because no one tells us. We ask and they say,
yeah, put it in the garbage. Yeah, in Canada you got your case,
For every
bags.
dumpster, there's a blue dumpster.
Yeah.
You got a green dumpster for garbage, a blue dumpster for recycling.
I'm Mark from Atreyu. I'm hanging out with Justice through music. I think we're completely ruining our country and the world. Like, I don't know how many more generations we'll be able to survive. Like, every year it gets warmer and warmer and warmer and hotter. And not even just warmer, it gets like, doesn't get colder in certain parts that it should be. And it's a terrible thing. Like, we all need to just take a step to be more conscious about our environment. Like, even just picking up litter, recycling, like just little things like that every day. Recycling can help so much. Reusing and conserving, turning off lights when you walk out of a room, like just little things like that. Riding your bike instead of taking your car 2 blocks. So just little things like that I think can help if everyone does it.
Hi, we're the Myriad.
So we're hanging out with Justice through music.
Have you guys been able to make your tour any more green or anything because there's a lot of bands lately that are you know, greening their merchandise, greening their vans or their tour buses or anything like that. It seems to be a really big issue now with bands. Have you been able to do any of that yet?
Yeah, there's like one of our favorite bands, Radiohead, is sending all their stuff over freight to get to the States for their tour, which is, I mean, it's brilliant. And they actually had somebody come in and assess their tour as to what that environmental footprint was going to be and what they could do to stop that and or to lessen that what that footprint was going to be. And then they released this thing on their website talking about to their fans everything that their fans could do, you know, whether it was carpooling to the shows or the kind of venues that they were going to play. And I think it's fantastic. You know, it's I have, for example, I have a very conservative brother-in-law, and he's finishing up over at Stanford, which is much more liberal than he's used to. But he sort of came to this perspective and he said, you know, I've been thinking about this whole green thing, and he said, I guess ultimately what I've come to is like, why not? Like, even if you are approaching it from a more conservative perspective and you think, you know, that global warming is a conspiracy and this sort of thing, like, why not? Why wouldn't you want to take better care of the earth? And
we're on Frisbee Gate. We're hanging out with Justice Through Music.
You guys are here at Earth Day Green Apple Fest. What would you tell young people about what's going on?
I think it's a great gathering of music all over the country to get people aware of being greener, and being more conscious about our environment and ways to conserve energy, and just enjoy it with music.
It kind of makes people, even if they're not aware, it sort of makes people aware automatically when there's one of these happening in every large town across the nation at the same time. It's kind of cool, so it's this national awareness rather than just like one little microcosm city. It seems to like be dropping all at once in Chicago, New York, DC, West Coast. You know,
But a great place to do it, you know, in the nation's capital, with the Capitol building behind you, the monument. Yeah. Our bus is biodiesel ready. I don't know if we've actually made the move yet.
Yeah, we just got the bus, but it's a 2008, so it's equipped with a lot of the modern.
I think the summer tour, they've moved to do that, and I know a lot of other bands are doing that too, especially for as much as the touring goes, as much traveling as there is with the semis.
Because the bus runs, you know, there's generators under there to keep the bus on at all days when the bus is off, the engine is. So there's constant energy being used on those big things. You know, it's a $500,000 box that has all these things on it that take up a lot of energy. So there is a lot of things that you can do, because there's like a gas tank here, there's a gas tank there, there's a gas tank there. You know, it's like to suffice all these generators.
What about any kind of merchandise? I mean, I know some of the bands are using this now with sleeves and stuff.
Yeah, all we sell what we call UN Lives, which is our show that you can buy after the show, directly after the show, and all those are recyclable, or made from recyclable.
Well, we're getting ready to put out a new record at the beginning of the year, and we're thinking on doing an eco pack like out of like ethanol or like a corn byproduct. Like instead of using just a regular plastic recycled case, using an actual corn, you know, ethanol-based plastic product. You know, and make it really, and sort of that be known with the package.
We were also thinking about doing that with our keyboardists too.
Yeah. There's a lot of corn-based keyboard players.
When you're an artist, you're always, especially a performer, you're just trying to keep a channel open, you know, to your spiritual life. You're trying to pay attention to detail. You're trying to make sort of astute, humane observations about things. I was very afraid to see the backlash against artists expressing themselves eloquently, because isn't that the standard thing, that the artists and the intellectuals are the first ones to cry the alarm of fascism and injustice and, you know, huge military mistakes? I mean, aren't they, not from a kind of a la-la daisy chain perspective, but from, you know, the real deep and eloquent parts of their awareness? Aren't they the first ones to come forward, the harbingers of the kind of dialogue that keeps civilization strong? So, you know, I can see why the backlash happened, because a lot of these artists were saying really smart things, and some of them did stuff that had a lot of bravado and looked, they could be captured as sort of looking ridiculous. But I mean, I think that the reason that there was so much backlash against these artists is that they were funny and eloquent and right, and they had good points, and that was the only way to shut them up, is to say, oh, those silly artists. But Nazi Germany, who were the first to leave? Who were the first wave to pick up on the vibe and get out of there? The artists and the intellectuals. That needs to be a central part of your civilization. For the government to be so disdainful is a very dangerous sign, I think. If an artist wants to speak out and feels like they have formulated something that they want to say, and there's the camera rolling and there's the limelight, and that's what they want to talk about, absolutely, that's part of their perspective.
I mean, I think that's what art is expression. So, you know, people are going to express political views, they're going to express emotional views. I mean, you know, it's kind of like the nature of art. So it only makes sense that artists would express how they feel about politics as well.
Yeah, and plus in America, it's pretty easy to talk about how pissed off you are when it comes to our politics, because of the way the situation is.
I think it's a job of artists to speak out. It's a job of artists to be vilified, because people in society are a lot more afraid of it than artists tend to be. So we've been told we were fags, queers, commies, pinkos. I don't know anything else you can think of, and I think it's the role of artists to be out there and doing it. I wish that there would be a more aggressive stance sooner from a lot of artists, but you know, that's what happens. Better later than never, I guess.
I mean, Dixie Chicks sold a bunch of records for doing that. A lot of times you censor a record, it sells more. I think it's wrong to halt anybody from speaking against anything that the government's doing. If they don't like it, you should be able to say it. That's what democracy is. As far as we go, we've only had people praise us for having political aspects in our band.
I think it's as an artist, it's your responsibility, whether you're a painter or a sculptor or a musician or whatever, it's your responsibility to speak out about whatever's important to you in your life, and politics are kind of hard to avoid nowadays, you know. So as an artist, you know, when people get upset that you're speaking out, that's just sad. It's cutting you off at the feet, you know.
So you think it's the role of the artist to speak out, I assume?
Well, not necessarily the role, I'd say. It's just like, I think that if an artist does have something to say, you know, they should be saying it. You know,
we know a couple of bands that they don't know anything about. You know, I don't like calling it politics because it's actually just life, but they don't know about that side of you know, the war or the administration, anything. They don't know what they're talking about, and they throw their hat in just because they think it's the cool thing to do, is to like bash Bush.
Yeah.
And I think when you bash this administration for fun, you're cheapening it, and
yeah,
there's a lot to be said. So I mean, it's not your role to speak out about politics unless you care about it.
Well, freedom of speech is one of the, you know, fundamentals that our country is based on, and I think if people are not allowed to say what they think, and you know, the right-wing branch of the government is going to lambaste them for speaking out, it's not really cool, you know. It seems rather totalitarian to me.
Yeah, I mean, I can't speak for anybody else. I mean, we definitely, part of why we write songs is to vent our frustrations about our lives or our government or, you know, all those kinds of things. So it's just part of why we do it. So it's never really in question.
We're a less political band, I feel, than those bands.
But I have no problem with them doing that because that's their opinion, that's their right, you know. The Dixie Chicks, they weren't going off like you're talking about. They weren't talking for a long time. All they said is like
they made a
couple comments, and they happened to be, you know, against George W. Bush, and it blew up into this huge thing where they were being boycotted by all the stations, and that's stupid.
I'm not at liberty to talk about my political.
Yeah. As a musician, I don't think I should. Well, you know, it's that one. You know, certain musicians feel the right. You know, that they should be political. And I don't know if our band falls in that category.
We're not really in that category as far as expressing our political beliefs as much. I mean, we have them, but we don't. We don't push them in the music.
I think it's in taste, and it's whether or not it's gonna make you look like a certain. You know, because you want to please everyone if you're going to have an endeavor. You know, as an artist. You know, in the political side, it's kind of got to be cut and dry, and it can't. You don't want to like move. You don't want to be a mover and shaker as an artist. You know, I think that's for the politicians. You know? But if you have the power, like Bono or Mellencamp or something, if you have that kind of power, it's a different story. For us small fishes, it's like it doesn't apply as much. You know. Yet.
You know, I've got motherfuckers like you pointing their finger at me saying, what about your responsibility as a musician to, you know, promote like positive messages and with a positive political message and whatnot. But I'm just here for like 2 minutes in your life. You're here every day. You are the guys with the big responsibility. You know, maybe a lot of people will look to us and our opinions of what to do, but only in a hot topic kind of way. Do you know what I mean? And so if we can maybe inspire 2 or 3 people to seriously get in there and make a difference, then I think we've done our own job.
I think it shouldn't be so much as to sway those that are already using their minds. It's more the message like ministry has now is more of outrage, whereas I think probably I would like to not see it in this desperate of times, and that the message would simply be go out and do your part, you know, learn a few facts and make it, you know, cast your vote and you know, do it for yourself as well as for everybody else.
The agenda mainly is to register voters, which we did up until the voter registration deadlines. In most states, we registered about 10,000 voters and handed out a lot of educational type pamphlets on how to register for kids that didn't register that night, and also let our feelings on the current administration be known.
I think the Dixie Chicks and Eddie Vedder did a great thing. Like they rock music and music in general is about speaking. It's like expressing yourself and like, you know, expressing yourself to millions of people. And I think that's all they did. And they got caught as treasonous because the whole, like, at that time everyone was so patriotic with the 9/11 thing, so just for the war, for our president, want to support our country and support our troops.
Well, I personally feel that, you know, if it's something that you hold dear to, anything that you know, crosses your mindset as far as if something's wrong or right, you're going to comment on it, you know. So it definitely becomes a responsibility if you're paying attention, you know.
What do you think about artists being attacked and vilified for speaking out?
It's, you know, power hungry, insecure, moronic fucking mongers who have nothing, you know, who are just worried for their own self-interests. And, you know, I think if they don't like what people have to say, they should just fucking not listen, turn away.
I was, you know, really opposed to going into Iraq because I felt like the reasoning that George W. Bush was giving us was absolute bullshit. And it was turning out exactly the way I felt in the first place. I mean, we went in because he had a personal vendetta against Saddam Hussein, and because I think there's a few reasons. That's one of the reasons. The other reason, of course, is oil. Mm-hmm. And then another big reason is because he's not a very good president as far as the economy goes. During a time of war, a country backs their president. He'll keep the approval ratings up.
His approval ratings
as long
at
as
59% now.
well, now it is. But I think his whole theory is, if you're always in a fucking fight, the country is going to back the president because they become patriotic.
Well, we already won, right? I already saw that. We won a couple times, so I didn't realize the war was still happening, but apparently, it is. I mean, it's obviously an awful thing. I mean, Chris has family in the military, and when we play in Europe, there's people from the military sometimes come to the shows, and I think it's really sad that it's still happening. There's no end in sight, and now everybody's just forgotten about it. Maybe we have to wait until the next presidential election for anybody to remind Middle America that there is still a war happening.
Yeah, I mean now, like with the war with Hezbollah and Israel and Syria and Iran, and I mean it's just, where's the diplomacy? That's all I have to say. It's like where is what good old Jimmy Carter used to do, where's the person that just goes straight to the Middle East and just starts talking and trying to get people to meet and have diplomacy? It's just, when you just watch the news and it's just bodies piled upon bodies, on both sides. It's just wrong all the way around, and there's got to be some way for, I wish we had an administration that could have gone in there and at least with some other world leaders and shown some just willingness to sit down and talk and try to show some kind of, I don't know what, be less passive, I guess. It just feels like in the newest part of this war, like Bush just is like, he's like, I don't know what to do, so let me veto the stem cell bill. It's like, well, okay.
Oh, it's devastating war, It has been since its inception. The Middle East is a tinderbox. You can't go in there with your shock and awe war policy and not expect to completely unbalance the whole region, and that's exactly what's happened. There was absolutely no foresight. I mean, we didn't learn anything from Britain going in there and taking over Iraq as well, all those many years ago. Just not learning from history, not having any foresight, just that sort of like pro-American to the detriment of the rest of the world in there. So it's just, the policies are just unbelievable. And I just feel, for those people who, getting rounded up and shot in the streets, and families and generations torn apart by a senseless war. It's so diabolical to me, it's hard to talk about. It's incomprehensible. And you got a smug president who's still defending it at all costs, and it's a hard time to be American.
I have a problem because I don't believe in war. And actually, I think it was Howard Zinn, or it was Noam Chomsky who said, did you notice that once it became clear that if European countries fought against each other, they'd obliterate each other, that Europeans stopped having wars with each other? It's sort of like we're so aggressive with each other until we realize that global extermination could be at stake, and then we are somehow able to rein it in. But if it's some situation in which our country is just using its massive might to pummel another country, somehow that's called a war, and that's fine. I think that war is weighted towards the industrial military complex, and so no one wins, and it's unnecessary. So that's my ground feeling. And then this war, I knew from the start that this wasn't a war I supported.
It's an extremely unpopular war. It's obvious. Not many people like war.
I think the sense of like the public cleavage within the far right, like the people who feel like even the administration has bankrupted their conservative vision, is kind of interesting, and I think that's shaking up what used to be a monolithic and patriotic face, and now people are saying that, wow, even the Republican Party is split about this strategy or lack of strategy, and a lot of people are really tired of the rhetoric and the lack of answers. So I think that's also strengthening the left and anyone that gives a damn about humanity.
And also, people get real upset when their relatives are dying for something that they don't understand.
We found out that the U.S. military ordered more ministry records from Warner Brothers we were on at the time, because that's what broke the Iraqi prisoners first. Sleep deprivation and blaring loud ministry music at them for hundreds of hours at a time. They would wig out. And at first, I thought that was kind of funny. Then I really just thought, this is disgusting. War is hell, and I really don't want to be a part of this. And it's really made me anti-war, not anti-aggressive music, but anti-using it as a tool of torture.
How do I feel about the war? I think Stun feels that if you look at, there's $900 billion being spent on weapons in the world. You could put everybody in school, could give every AIDS victim medicine, and half of it, $450 billion, is the U.S. Iraq spent .0015 on weaponry, and yet we need to go to war with them. Also, North Korea was openly making still alive, but a bunch of innocent people are dead.
And more U.S. troops are dying now than they were when the so-called war was going on, and now it's supposedly over, but more people have died now.
It's pathetic.
We see a lot of the kids because we play in a lot of military towns, and we're actually, that's like kind of our bread and butter. We have like a high energy show, so we appeal to a lot of those military towns. And I mean, as far as the kids themselves, like they're just like you and me. They're just like people that's what they chose to do, and they chose to protect it. So we respect that. We respect their choice. You know what I mean? And we like the energy they bring to our shows. But as far as our views on the war, we don't let that interfere with making new fans.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I mean, I think it's been way too long, and people are dying every single day, and the war's supposed to be over, and it's not clearly over.
Yeah, man, mission accomplished. It's done. What war, man? It's been over. Brought democracy to a foreign country that didn't ask for it.
Oh, well, we're fucked forever, aren't we?
Yeah.
I mean, once we're in, I see us being there for 20 fucking years.
The thing that was really wanted from the start has been, actually the mission has been accomplished. The contracts for the oil companies have been signed.
Halliburton got a sweet deal.
Exactly. So in the sense when Bush says mission accomplished, he's not even lying. His mission has
record profits for the big boy.
So how do you guys feel about the war right now?
I think it sucks balls. Same as we've always felt. It's the worst thing ever.
Bush and Blair had a meeting, and there was a memo of the meeting that said that no matter what comes out of Iraq, we're going to invade, because that's what we're going to do. We're not going to let the facts get in the way of a good invasion.
Certainly, the war that exists right now is certainly one that exists because of economics. I don't think anybody should be fooled into thinking anything other. If Saddam Hussein was over in the middle of Africa where there were no oil fields, I don't think the U.S. government would be messing with him, no matter how much he acted like Hitler or whatever. Having a strong foothold in the Middle East is certainly a vested interest of our government.
I've just never in my life felt so alienated from my government since. I just feel, I hate that war. I think it's complete insanity.
Gay marriage or
It's fine. I think if anybody,
health benefits, really kind of what it comes down to with a lot of that is sort of being equal, shareholder and those kind of things as anyone else would be. So when it comes down to those kind of, gifts from your country, I think everyone should be shared and shared alike.
I support that. Love is a good thing.
Yeah.
Now, another issue that seems like the politicians or the politicos want to provide people with is the issue of gay marriage. How do you feel about that?
I think it's fine. If you want to be married, great. If you don't, great. I don't understand why it's such a huge deal.
I think, it's funny that was one of my really major contentions. I was always growing up and throughout my life, I always considered myself a conservative, and because of that, I consider myself a Republican. But gay marriage issues and gay rights issues is really one for me that really changed my view of that and really, allowed myself to align myself with the Democratic Party and consider myself more of a liberal. And because I just don't understand really the mentality of not providing Americans equal rights, whether that is equal rights to marry, whether that's equal rights to adoption, whether that's equal rights to go in and serve in the military.
I don't see any evidence that the God hates fag technique is not working. I mean, how many states have legalized same-sex marriage?
And whatever you want. Yeah, whatever you want, to each their own. You know, it doesn't, you know.
I mean, I know Massachusetts was the first state that.
Right.
I'm from there
originally,
actually.
I grew up there. If it's what makes you happy, then be happy.
Well, it's personally not for me, but I'm more of, letting people express themselves and having the freedom and the ability to do whatever they want, basically. I'm not against any of that stuff. I can't sit here and say that, just because it's not for me, that it's not for this person or that person.
How can you say that you fight for fundamental American values and upholding the Constitution, and at the same time you're going to decide when somebody can have it, when they can have a child, or use this like umbrella of it's life and it's sacred. Meanwhile, I'm a war president and I'm going to kill hundreds of thousands of people that are already alive, that are going to be missed.
Trying to tell women they can't take contraception or can't have
Bullshit.
That's complete bullshit.
Bullshit. I don't know how anybody could possibly tell another human being that they can't have contraception. That's obscene to me.
It's the
absolutely
pro-life movement is what you're talking about. I completely disagree with that. I think each individual should have the right to make their own choice about what they do with their bodies, and I'm guessing the pro-life, there's probably a lot of religious push behind it as well.
Yeah, it's all evangelical.
Yeah.
My belief is a life when it's a life. Till then, unwanted kids is a bigger problem, I think.
What if a young girl gets raped? She shouldn't have to keep that baby.
Even if she doesn't, kids are kids. They make mistakes. They screw up. Why should they ruin not only their lives, but the potential life of the person they're going to bring to this world? Why put them in an environment that's quite likely going to be bad?
I understand where they're coming from. Is they like handing out free condoms? Maybe thinks that people will just run everywhere humping each other, but I don't think it's gonna not providing these things, or it's not gonna help.
I remember in 8th grade social studies, the way they taught us the difference between the Democratic Party and the Republican Party was they used that phrase laissez-faire, which meant hands off. And that was what we were supposed to think the Republican, Party was about, was staying out of your bedroom, out of your personal life, small government. And it's the exact opposite of that. How are these people, the same ones that'll fight for gun control or gun rights, and saying it's for the Constitution and upholding the values of the Constitution, at the same time say that it's okay for the government to come in and tell you who you can fuck and who you can't.
I don't think it's anyone else's business what a woman does with her body. If somebody wants to smoke pot or, fuck someone else in the asshole, whatever, dude. I mean, come on. Don't you have something better to do with your day?
There's a lot of people are going to jail for, pot and stupid stuff like that. I mean, how do you feel about it?
That's another example of why there are so many bigger things to worry about. Why are they worrying about what some guy does in his room,
But up in Canada, the marijuana is basically illegal.
It's decriminalized.
It's decriminalized.
You can have, I believe, well, it depends what province you're in, but in Vancouver, BC, you can have up to 1 ounce of pot on you for personal consumption. Anything over that, if you're caught with it, it's considered for trafficking. So it's not illegal to be a marijuana smoker in Canada. It's illegal to traffic it for profit.
But they'll still take it away. They find a joint on you, they're going to take it away.
I mean, I have a problem with, I'm not saying, we've all experimented with drugs, and, we've done stuff in our lives. It's just when you're dealing cocaine, it's a lot different than, smoking marijuana at home. You're not, it's a total different drug. I've never seen a pothead go rob a store. Right. You know what I mean?
discussion coming up about getting young people out to vote. I think it's important.
I think it's very important. Yeah. We're all
I think it's important for people to stand up for something they believe in and not just kind of like, oh, you know, it'll happen, it'll work out, you know, people will vote and it'll be fine. You know, you gotta stand up for your country and vote for your leaders. And
You would tell young people if they get out and vote, it's important.
Yes, very important.
Hi, we're the Myriad.
So we're hanging out with justice through music.
What you guys think about the importance of getting young people out to vote?
I can be there whenever. I'm going to stay in New Jersey.
I remember the first time I voted, it felt really empowering, and that over the next few years when I would hear people have issue with what was going on with with the government at the time. That was sort of the first question I had was like, well, did you vote? And if they didn't, I had this sort of instinctive response to sort of write it off, like, how do you have the right to complain if you don't have any intention to do anything about it? And it feels like this sort of rite of passage, this opportunity to actually like have a say in what's going on. And it feels really important as you're sort of coming into adulthood and turning 18 years old and you have that opportunity. You know, it feels like such an important step to take to be involved with the direction that, you know, our country's headed and the world's headed.
And I think, you know, a lot of people think that sometimes they're voting, you know, just one person a drop in a bucket. But, you know, we've seen with the last few elections, you know, how important that one person is as well. So, and not only that, I think it's just very important for you to be involved, you know, for a young adult when you turn 18, go register, you know, and it's just, I think it's just really important to be involved in a country that you believe in.
I'm Steven.
And I'm John Roger. I'm Jeremy Edwardson.
Randy Miller.
And I'm Jonathan Young, and we are the Myriad. We just want to encourage you to get registered and vote.
Vote.
How you guys doing? This is Humphreys McGee. I'm Ryan.
I'm Andy.
I'm Jake. And we want you to get out there and vote. Vote.
Thank you guys very much for coming out so early today. We are Humphreys McGee from the Midwest, from Chicago, the armpit of America, and it's great to be here. lights will always win to slowly stumble home. If the different and it's hard to show as every breath resembles slow. I'm lost of opinions and I want to know if you'd all be around tomorrow. Watching and the lights are low as winter at the ground. Chicago. TV's on too much at night. I'll never think enough about the things that matter most. Pulling in the old white shore. There's no argument for wasting time as medicine. Basically replacing a melody with smoke.
What's up? This is Chris and Jerry from OAR, and we think it's really important that you guys go out there and vote and make your voice heard.
We're gonna do a song you should know, I hope. Come gather around people wherever you roam, and admit that the waters around you have grown. Accept it that soon you'll be drenched to the bone. If your time to you is worth saving, you better start swimming or you'll sink like a stone. For the times they are changing. Come writers and critics, prophesize with your pen. Keep your eyes wide, the chance won't come again. Don't speak too soon, for the wheel's still in spin. And there's no telling who that it's naming. For the loser now will be later to win. For the times they are changing. Come senators, congressmen, please heed the call. Don't stand in the doorway, don't block up the hall. For he who they can hurt will be he who is stalled. There's a battle outside and it's raging. It'll soon shake your windows and rattle your walls. For the times they are changing. Come mothers and fathers throughout the land. Don't criticize what you can't understand. Your sons and your daughters are beyond your command. Your old road is rapidly aging. Please get out of the new one if you can lend a hand. For the times they are changing. The line, it is drawn, the curse, it is cast. The slow one now, will later be fast. As the present now, will later be past. The order is rapidly fading, and the first one now will later be last. For the times they are changing. Yeah, the times they are changing. Yeah, the times they are changing. I always wanted to do that.
Hi, I'm Lisa Parsons, your Justice the Music DVD VJ, here to inspire and empower you to make your voice heard in today's political world. Justice the Music is a non-profit organization that uses famous bands and musicians to motivate us to get involved in and start caring about issues such as voting, peace and war, the death penalty, the drug war, privacy, equality, and due process. As you probably know, in the last election, we registered and voted in record numbers and made a significant impact. The majority of us still are not voting, mainly because we feel alienated and ignored. As last election showed, again, every vote does count. Everyone can make a difference by getting involved in voting. The stakes are high, the choices are clear, and we are the future. So take a stand now. Music Power 101.
How many people are voting in this November's election? How many people are voting Bush out of office?
In order for us to keep maintaining living in the world that we live in, this free world, our democracy, I mean, I think we really need to support the system. Do what we do, you know? I think we need to vote, we need to get involved. It doesn't matter what you do.
Please be aware of what's going on out there. Elections coming up, it's a pretty serious deal. Go out there and vote.
I'd just like to say it's to your own best advantage to go out and vote. Make sure you register and then follow through and vote, because the only future you're fooling around with is your own.
The last election really showed that in certain circumstances, every vote can count if, of course, it's counted. And, but the idea is still there.
Well, that's the thing, you know, you don't think it makes a difference, but it does make a difference, doesn't it? He's got the best point that everyone counts, and you know, you need to think about that. And
be concerned or be scared, because your future is in the hands of the White House.
We need to come together as a people and vote. This year is very important. Anyone that's eligible to vote should go vote. I mean, I don't want to, push politics on you, but I think you know how we feel as a band. But just to vote, period, is important.
It's just a matter of getting registered and doing it, and that's not hard.
If there's any time to vote, this is the time to vote.
We've got to consider this our most profound encouragement to go out to the voting booths and take care of it. And nobody can go for you.
So many people are apathetic right now because they feel that their vote doesn't matter. I mean, just look at the last election.
And you know what? If you can't take a step, you can't take a jump.
They might not even agree with. So you have a voice, you can fight back in the polls, just like, you can fight back in a recording studio or on a stage.
Little do they know that one vote combined with all the other kids who don't vote, I mean, they all add up.
Vote early, vote often. Be aware of what's going on in your community.
People should vote and have sort of a choice.
You gotta do it, it's more important than ever.
Rock the vote, rock it.
Hey, I'm Amy.
I'm Emily, and we're the Indigo Girls.
And we want you to get out and vote.
We've been talking with Justice Through Music, and we all agree that the time is now.
We're the Violent Femmes, and we encourage you to get out and vote.
Get out there, vote, let yourself be heard. You've heard it a million times before, but it actually matters.
Get out there and vote, don't complain later on.
If you don't vote, you can't bitch.
Make sure you go out and vote.
Don't forget to get out there in November.
Educate yourself and make your voice heard.
If there's somebody you feel worth voting for, vote for them.
Get a buddy, go vote.
Get out there and fight back, do what you gotta do.
Yes, I'm for voting. Voting is good.
And the presidential vote, obviously, especially this time around, is extremely crucial. Because I don't think that this president administration has any of our best interests at heart. And I think that we're allowing that to happen by not getting involved.
Voting in general has become people are just more aware of its importance, like maybe due to the things that, have gone on in North America, at least in the last couple of years. It's become, I know in the past I was more naive and I didn't really know, just voting was maybe something my parents would do.
We are majority rule, and we encourage everybody who can vote to vote, because it's important to make sure that at least if you vote, it's your right to complain and bitch when things are not going your way. That's for sure.
Hey, we're Darkest Hour, and you're hanging out with Justice Through Music. We want you to get out and vote.
It's really important for
everybody who's old enough to vote to just get out there and vote. I know that when I turned 18, I didn't vote that year because I was just uneducated and I wasn't aware of, you know, how much of a difference my one vote can make, but it can make all the difference. I mean, the last election, you know, we were from Florida, so we saw what happened in Florida. I mean, you had somebody that didn't win the election down there win the election. I think if more people our age voted, then it would definitely made enough of an impact where there wouldn't have been a margin for something like that to happen.
We're hanging out with Justice Through Music. Get out there and vote. Rock your rights.
Rock your rights.
Rock your rights.
Gotta find freedom.
Over the past year, we've interviewed many bands about their stands on these issues. These bands speak to and for our generation. Our views are too important for any politicians to ignore. Change is in the air, and we are not just gonna stand on the sidelines any longer. Get out and vote.
I'm Amy.
I'm Emily, and we're the Indigo Girls.
And we're hanging out with Justice Through Music.
Well, it's obvious that the whole course of history can be changed by who's elected president in this current administration. You know, the damage that's been done worldwide and how it's changed the face of American politics and our relationship to the rest of the world. So, and it would have just, you know, just a small number of more votes for the other guy would have been a completely different world situation, in my opinion. So it's absolutely critical that people vote because it makes a difference.
He's Thomas. He's Matthew. And we're from Strike Anywhere. And we are here with Justice Through Music. Justice Through Music. Their lives are going to get really complicated and messed up if the current administration continues to groom people like themselves to transform the world in a way that we disagree with and think is very unhealthy. Push through legislation that we end up hating, but feel like we have no say in. So that's where it starts. Yeah, you can stop the bloody footprint just in your hometown at city council and getting in people's face because they're supposed to represent you and your values and your future. And it's really important to make sure that you stay educated on these topics and stay agitated. We have to make this sexy and exciting and a part of youth culture. Otherwise our democracy will be bankrupt and flushed down the toilet.
What suggestions do you have for making it sexy and interesting?
Well, that's really challenging. That's a good question. I mean, like, is despair and doom sexy enough?
I'm Alpha Ministry. I'm talking with Brett from Justice for Music, and I guess we're gonna have a chat. All right.
All right.
Bring it on, motherfucker.
Bring it on.
The agenda mainly is to register voters. Handed out a lot of educational type pamphlets on how to register for kids that didn't register that night, and also let our feelings on the current administration be known.
Do you have any special plans to get people to the polls on November 2nd?
I'll drive them fucking personally if I have to. Cram the tour bus full. Let's go vote, man. Let's get everyone out there.
That would be very cool.
Yeah.
Hey, this is Boys at Fire hanging out with Justice Through Music.
Yeah, I think it's important. Even if
we're telling people to get out there.
Right, yeah.
And vote. But I think the get out there part also is not to be, voting is not the
be all end all. You know what I mean? Like I said, it's a good first step, but just make your voice heard. Be out there, demonstrate, voice your opinion in all means possible. And voting is one of those means. Voting is basically the one guaranteed little teeny right you have, and the little voice that you have. You know, once you vote, it goes into a republic situation, and you're represented. That's the one direct voice that you have straight off the bat to influence government, to influence the way things are going.
Number one, it's sort of the least you can do. And number two, it also, you know, apathy just allows government to, not that they're not going to do it anyway, but it gives them more reason.
At least show them that you exist.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
You know, it's like holding up your hands, you know, like, I exist, I'm here.
Hi, this is Psycho from Fix. Very proud to be invited to Justice Through Music here today. It seems to be that some of the good side of music has been forgotten. What you're doing is refocus on the value of communication. Like everyone else, I'm a bit confused. I've watched democracy become a democracy. And you know, you get out and vote, but then you really want to vote without thinking, and that's not good either. So you have to do a little bit of homework. The biggest party on the planet right now is the abstinence party. And the people don't vote. If you're going to exercise your right to vote, you've also got to exercise the right to educate yourself. Don't rely on the system to educate you, because that's one step away from brainwashing.
Hey, Dark Sour. Justice Through Music.
That's what we're doing. We're here with them.
I mean, I think that it's important to do more than vote. I think it's important to not only speak with your vote, but also energize at least one or two other people that are like-minded. You know what I mean? Or if you want to attempt to convert somebody that is a complete moron. If everybody takes one person and converts them, you might have a chance like the next time around. Usually with younger people. That's my suggestion.
Last election, hoping that there would be a change in regime, and it didn't happen.
We were wrong.
Yeah, how do you feel about that?
We really fucked up. Pretty much. It wasn't our fault. We really fucked up.
I mean, I think that it was a success in a way that it actually motivated and energized a base of youth that maybe wasn't involved in politics before, but definitely was a huge letdown that we weren't able to swing it the way that we were hoping to.
How's it going? This is Slim from Bury Your Dead.
I'm Matt from Bury Your Dead, and we're here with some of the dudes from Justice Through Music.
We're here to talk about current events, things that people need to at least hear about. We've gotten an opportunity handed to us to do something like this. When you vote, all you have to do is sign something, and then you have a voice. You're able to maybe sway a thing by one vote or 100 votes.
Yeah.
It's just
the people that choose not to vote, people that have this idea that they can't accomplish anything through a vote, need to understand that their vote for president or their vote for mayor, you're not just choosing the president or the mayor. You're letting people know what people like you think. And the people like the president are going to appoint people. And you're not just voting for the president, you're voting for the president and everybody that he's going to choose to run every other damn thing.
Hey, it's Storm from Op Critical, hanging out with Justice Through Music, talking about civil rights, voting. And well, it's really important for everybody to get out and vote. In the last election, a lot more young people went out and voted. It's really a chance for everybody to make a change in the direction of the country. So, you know, do it. Get out, vote, bring your friends, all that stuff.
Hi, this is Pathetic from Anti-Flag, and you're listening to Justice Through Music.
Political activism is a long and difficult process. Just because you lose one election does not mean you give up. So we're encouraging everybody to go out and vote in November, because we think that there is a high chance that if we can change the makeup of the Congress, we can get an impeachment for war crimes in Bush. We can get Scooter Libby to go to jail where he should be, and maybe we can get Cheney to go right thereafter. Yeah, I think that we have responsibilities. We have one is to vote, the other is to protest, and you can't do one without the other. And you have to have both of them to really make change.